Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, November 17th, and we are going to get started with class. I'm recording this on Friday. Guys, I knew I was going to be out. I know I'm out of the classroom a lot sometimes, but today is actually for me. We are closing on our house today, which means we are buying our house. So we are so excited, and I will see you tomorrow. Alright, so today we're going to get started with our bell work. Alright, just like usual, you have 3 minutes to complete your bell work. So I'm going to go over and read the question for you in just a second. First, we're going to start with bell work, then we're going to get into a paper, and then we're going to do a cut and paste. Right, so in bell work, don't forget to justify your answer. Let's go to bell work. Alright, the question says, which terms complete the sentences? Blank is the energy that a material stores due to its deformation. Blank describes energy that is stored in bonds between atoms. Which of the following terms complete the sentences? A. Kinetic energy, gravitational potential energy. B. Chemical potential energy, kinetic energy. C. Elastic potential energy, chemical potential energy. And D, light energy and chemical potential energy. Go ahead and pause this video. You're going to have 3 minutes to do your bell work. I'll be back in a couple minutes to review it. Start your timer now. Alright, now let's look at this question. Alright, so let's break apart what it's asking here. It says energy that a material stores due to its deformation. Right? Well, this word stores right here should tell me a really big clue. That should tell me that we're talking about some kind of potential energy, right? Because potential is stored up. All right, so let's look at our answer choices. So I see kinetic. That can't be right. Right? I see chemical potential. Okay, could be, right? It's potential. I see elastic potential. Okay, still potential. And I see light energy, right? Well, I know I could just cross off A and D because those are both not potential energies, right? Let's look at the next one and see if we can figure out which one it is. Describes energy that's stored in bonds between atoms, right? Again, stored, right? So it has to be some type of potential energy. Remember, we're only down to B or C. Right, so that's potential, but then this says kinetic, right? And this is potential, and that one is potential. So C has to be our answer, right? If you didn't understand what these meant, right, that is the definition for elastic and chemical potential energies. Elastic has to do with its deformation. Like when you stretch a rubber band, you deform it, right? So look at this, right? This is normal, right? You deform it when you stretch it. Right, so it's deformed, and that's what causes the potential energy to be stored in it. And then bonds between atoms has to do with chemical, right? So when we see atoms, I want you to think about the chemical level, right? So C was our correct answer. Hopefully you justified that. Make sure you have. You can pause if we need to make sure we have that correct answer. All right, now we're going to move on to working on a paper, so let's follow along next. Alright guys, the next thing we're going to be doing is this paper. It says concept attainment quiz at the top, kinetic and potential energies, and then the back of it says potential and kinetic energy. So we're starting on this side, right? Make sure that your name is at the top. I'll give you a second to pass these papers out if we need to. So pause and pass them out. All right, hopefully we all have our papers now. All right, I'm going to go through the instructions for this paper and for the back. Then you're going to have some time to work on it, right? So I need to make sure that you are focused, you are working, you are not being distracting. This paper, if you do not get it done, I am going to take a grade on this. So make sure you finish it, make sure it's correct, right? It needs to be turned in at the end of the day. Okay, so let's start on this side. Let me zoom in for you. Right, so name, right? Then we're going to go into some vocabulary matching, right? We've done similar things like this before, right? You have letters over here, you're putting them next to the definition, right? So you'll read through, find what goes with what, right? Pretty easy, right? Notice there's 5 and there's 5, so there's not any extras, right? Then you have some pictures, right? You have a roller coaster, you have some people running, and then you have a battery, right? And you have 3 different words: kinetic energy, gravitational potential energy, chemical energy, and I need you to put them where they go on these lines, right? Which one's describing which, right? Then you have a couple of questions to answer over here, right? It says, a teacher has 2 bookshelves in their classroom. The first bookshelf is 5 feet tall, while the second is 10 feet tall. Each bookshelf has a book placed at the very top of it. Which book has more gravitational potential energy? Explain your answer. Right, so you'll answer that right here. Right, if you need more room, you can write it down here and draw an arrow up here to this question. Right, second question says, a new battery is put into a TV remote. What happens to the chemical potential energy? Right, and you'll be writing that right here. Right, I want these questions to be written in complete sentences, right? It is not just like the chemical potential energy disappears or something like that, right? I need you to answer this well, right? We're practicing our writing when we answer these questions. So answer these 2 questions well, right? Then we have the back, right? On the back, right, this side is kind of like a reading with a couple of things to do, and then this side you have 2 questions to answer. So let's take a look over here. Right, so you have some reading right here to help you answer these if you need to. It says potential energy. List an example of each type of potential energy. So you're going to draw a picture and write some words, right, for gravitational, elastic, and chemical, one of each. Right, so draw a picture and write what you drew, right? And then kinetic energy down here, it has a roller coaster, right? It says to describe the relationship between the potential and kinetic energy at the 3 points shown, right? So you have A, B, and C. You're telling me over here what's happening to the potential and kinetic energies. You have to get both, right? So that'll be this side, right? It's just 6 short little questions. And then you will answer these 2 questions on this side, right? Make sure that you're taking your time and reading these, right? I know that's a lot of reading, but you can do it, right? This question's not super hard, okay? So you're going to finish that, right? Once you finish the front and the back, this paper can be turned into the turn-in box, right? You're going to have about 15 minutes to finish this paper, right? Our substitute's going to put 15 minutes on the timer. Right, I need it to be done within those 15 minutes because we have another thing that we're going to be doing as well, right? So you got 15 minutes and that's it, right? After the 15 minutes is up, right, you're going to turn this into the box and I'm going to grade what you have done. If you have 2 questions done, you're probably not going to get a very good grade, right? So make sure that you have this done, right? If we look at it, it is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 questions. Right? That's more than a minute per question. We can get that done. Right? So pause, set a 15-minute timer, and I will be back after those 15 minutes to give you instructions for the next paper. All right, next up, right? We just finished that other paper. We're moving on to the cut and paste, right? So let's read the instructions at the top. It says, cut out and paste the pictures that match in the boxes below. Some answers could go in multiple places. Put each card in the area for the main type of energy, right? So we talked about some of these examples in class, right? Some of them can kind of be confusing, right? Notice there's only 3 boxes for each, right? So there is technically a correct answer. Yes, some of them can be more than one, right? I'm going to give you an example of which one can be more than one so that you have it correctly, okay? So this one, our trampoline bouncing kids back up, right? So the trampoline bouncing them, right? Think about that, right? They are in the air, so yes, it could be gravitational, right? They are also moving, so yes, it could be kinetic, right? But what I'm talking about is the trampoline, right? The trampoline, when you jump on it, it goes down, it squishes it, right? It stretches it out, and the trampoline pushes you back up, right? That would be our elastic potential energy. As it goes down, it squishes, and then it shoots you back up, right? So this one needs to go right here, okay? Right? Make sure that when you're doing this, you do not just leave trash everywhere, right? Cut them out correctly because they will fit in these boxes, right? You can just make a straight cut down that line. That's what that's for, right? When you're finished with this top part's going to get turned into the box. Make sure that when you're gluing this, you don't just put a bunch of glue on it, right? If there is, it's going to get stuck to the paper next to it, and then the little pieces are going to come off, and then you're not going to get a good grade, okay? I am grading this paper as well. Okay, so make sure that you're doing your best, right? Hopefully you can get this done in the next couple of minutes, right? If you finish this paper, there is one more paper that is on the desk. It's a coloring paper with a football, right? You'll answer the questions on the back, and you will color the football how it should be colored based off of what it tells you, right? Be good today, guys. Do your best, right? I miss you. I'll see you tomorrow.